When you go see a Broadway show, where the heck should you sit? Where is the best view in a Broadway show? Watch on to find out. Hey friends, if you're new here, my name is Katharine Quinn. I am a 30-something living in New York City, and I work on Broadway. Last year I worked on Shucked and How to Dance in Ohio. This year I'm working on The Great Gatsby, other shows TBD. As always, the vlog fam is going to be the first to find out. And I'm obsessed with Broadway. It's the love of my life, and getting people to the theater is one of my great passions. So you're here to find out where the heck to sit in a Broadway theater. And let me tell you, it's an art. It's an art. I have a lot of advice to offer here. We're gonna cram it into a tiny period of time. I always wanna be cognizant of your time, so as always, I will have chapters down here for you. Let's get into it. First and foremost, my favorite resource when choosing a seat at the theater is aviewfrommyseat.com. This is not sponsored. I just am a giant fan of this website. I've used it for many, many, many years. A View from My Seat is a fantastic general sense of where you want to be. My advice gets a little bit more specific depending on what experience you're looking for in theater. Broadway theaters are often at least 100 years old, and that's a really important thing to consider when you are anticipating seeing a Broadway show. Human bodies 100 years ago were shaped a little bit differently than human bodies now. They were also shorter, literally. We've gotten taller. Broadway seats can be awfully tiny, and certain theaters are known for having worse seats and worse sight lines, which means what you're viewing of the stage, than others. Other theaters, like the Hudson Theater, if you can go see Merrily We Roll Along, now those are some hefty ticket prices, but my goodness, those seats, they feel great. It's one of the only Broadway theaters that has seen a proper renovation. The Majestic Theater is currently being renovated, the Palace Theater is being renovated, so we can hopefully look forward to much better seating in those theaters. But by and large, you are crammed into a teensy-tiny little seat, and it is not very comfortable. So if you are a leggier person, you're gonna wanna sit on the aisle. This is a fantastic opportunity to talk to you about the layout of a theater. So the orchestra is the ground level. It's the level that you enter in on. Up above that is the mezzanine. Up above that is the balcony. Not all Broadway theaters have a balcony, but most do. As to what level of the theater you want to sit, this depends on a few things. First of all, the obvious one is budget. Tickets are going to be cheaper up in the balcony and mostly in the mezzanine. The exception is the front mezzanine is still often considered premium seating. Sometimes there's a railing there that like slightly obscures things, but not really. Front mezzanine, center mezzanine, those are gorgeous seats. For me, if I'm seeing a musical where there's a lot of dance, I prefer to sit in the mezzanine. I like seeing the formations of human bodies. I like having a little zoomed out big picture. If I am seeing a musical where I care mostly about the characters and their emotions, I typically want to sit closer. So something like Hadestown, I much prefer in the orchestra. Something like Moulin Rouge, woo-hoo-hoo! I have seen that show way, way, way too close, and then I've also seen it in the last row of the balcony. Last row of the balcony was a vastly superior experience to seeing it way too close, okay? If it's a big dance show, if it's big spectacle, like I think Gatsby is gonna be insane upper mezzanine, like gorgeous. Typically, premium seats are center orchestra about 5 to 6 rows back and back. Those first 5 rows, often those are rush seats or sort of partial view or slightly discounted seats. Left and right is often completely fine, even if you go all the way to the side. Again, this depends on what kind of experience you want. If I care really a lot about seeing individual performances, and I don't mind that a little bit of the set is cut off for me, it's fine to sit all the way house left or all the way house right. I can't not talk about this. I saw Gutenberg on Broadway last month, 2 months ago. I paid $120 for an obstructed view seat, which obstructed view, so partial view and obstructed view are different. Partial view means, okay, you can't see the top third because you're in the rear orchestra and the overhang is cutting off the top third of the set, which can be a womp womp, you know, depending. Obstructed view often means that there is a pole or a sound booth or object or something obstructing part of your view. Either way, the idea is that it is a partial view experience, an obstructed view experience, but it's still like you can still see the show. Never in the 200 plus Broadway shows that I have seen have I had the experience that I had at Gutenberg, where I got an obstructed view seat in the box, and I will throw a photo up here. I literally had to watch the show through a lighting instrument. You ready for my view? Like literally, this is my view. And my ticket was $120. I literally had to watch the show through a lighting instrument, a hole in the lighting instrument. It was outrageous. It was the worst seat I've ever had, and I hated it and I was so mad about it, and I'm just gonna talk about it forever, and people will be like, stop talking about your Gutenberg experience, but I'm not going to because it was crazy. However, I don't mean to scare you. That does not happen in the majority of experiences, and TodayTix is a platform that generously reached out and they were like, hey, we want to send you back to the show. I didn't even buy my ticket through them. Give you a better experience. So people want you to have a good experience on Broadway. I don't mean to scare you. So balcony seating is almost never my favorite. I don't like it. If I have to, if it's your only option, if budget is prohibitive, balcony seating will do you. If I had to choose between left and right mezzanine and rear orchestra, I would mostly choose rear orchestra. However, rear orchestra is where the mezzanine overhangs. Oftentimes, I find that that is the worst sound in the theater. Sound can deeply impact your experience. For me, much more so on musicals than on plays. If someone's voice quality is not as resonant when they're speaking, I can get over it. However, if the sound mixing, if the orchestra versus the actors sounds tinny or weird, it's just gonna lead to a worse experience. All of the worst sound that I've heard in a Broadway theater is under the overhang in the rear orchestra, so there's that. So I would say in general, if money is no object, grab yourself those premium orchestra seats or front mezz, depending. If budget is a bit of an issue, check out aviewfrommyseat.com. Literally look at the theater that you're going to. If the show hasn't opened yet, you can still check out a general sense of what you're going to experience based on whatever show was there previously, and you search by venue, not by show. So let's say you're gonna go see Tommy, the revival of Tommy. That's at the Nederlander Theater, and you look online, you see, Nederlander Theater, go to viewfrommyseat.com, type in the Nederlander, and determine where you want to be. Something that we gotta just mention quickly also, the bathroom situation is a nightmare. Getting to concessions is a nightmare. I apologize. We on Broadway have not figured that out for you yet. It's overdue. And just pro tip, if you're going to one of those your first Broadway show, or you haven't been to Broadway in a while, it hasn't gotten any better, aisle seats have an advantage to just zoom, zoom, zoom at intermission and make that happen, because those are my general Broadway seating tips. So again, I like watching musicals from front row mezz and orchestra. Plays, I tend to like to watch from the orchestra, and sitting under the overhang is okay for a play. For a musical, I don't enjoy it as much. Balcony, only if absolutely necessary. Left and right mezzanine, totally fine. Those are my very broad strokes of where I recommend sitting in a Broadway theater. Again, it depends on each space, so I love aviewfrommyseat.com. Some ticketing platforms also are starting to give you a tentative idea, but A View From My Seat will literally have reviews underneath it where it'll be like, this is a garbage trash seat. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you're going to see a show, what show are you going to see and where are you going to sit? If you're a big Broadway nerd and you have a favorite place to sit in a theater, or you have a favorite theater for comfort, or any hot tips that I missed, please make sure you leave a comment down below. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it useful, if you would consider hitting that like button, clicking that subscribe button, it means a lot to me as a new YouTuber. It also lets the YouTube algorithm know what wonderful humans to push this video out to, people like yourself. As always, I invite you to follow me on Instagram and TikTok at It's Katharine Quinn. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.